Howdy, folks. I'm Willy Wonka.
I'm Amber.
No, you're Charlie. And
No.
this is the Chocolate Factory.
No, we're reading Reddit again.
Oh, my fault. My confusion here. Let's move right along. Our first story is titled, "Am I a jerk for leaving my wife and our 4 kids at home to go to the Super Bowl?" Throwaway account as family members use Reddit. They're probably going to they're going to know. So, okay. I'm a 38-year-old male, and I have a wife, a 36-year-old female, and 4 children ages 8 through 14. My buddies and I found some great deals on Superb Owl tickets in LA, so we bought the tickets and we flew out on the day before the Superb Owl. Even though neither of the Rams nor the Bengals are my favorite team, I was very excited to watch the halftime show with some of my favorite rappers in it. Should also note that this was my first Superb Owl that I've attended. Here's the catch. The day of the Superb Owl was also my wife's birthday, and she was planning on having a day to herself, going to the mall with friends and getting a spa treatment. However, because I'm out of town, she had to take care of the kids on that day. I offered to pay my eldest $200 to take care of the younger siblings while my wife was out, but he said he wanted to go to the gym to hang out with his buddies. My wife wasn't exactly happy with the fact that she had to take care of the kids on her birthday, but I offered to treat her to a date to her favorite restaurant, and while still sad, she agreed. However, when I got home yesterday, she started screaming at me and calling me a jerk. She hasn't spoken to me since, and right now is out of the house. Am I the jerk for going to the Superb Owl and leaving her at home with the kids? Edit should probably mention that I offered a babysitter for the younger children, but my wife declined as the kids have trouble in the past with babysitters. Edit 2, seeing the comments now, I get it, I messed up, I was immature, pathetic, and I do not deserve such a great person as my wife. But if you could all please tone down the YTAs on my 14-year-old. Come on, he's just a kid. I will apologize to her immediately after she gets home and will tell you guys about the makeup vacation I planned for her once I ask her about it with her full agreement. Thanks for allowing me to realize my mistake. Also, for those wondering about the amount of money I spent, I have my own business and my wife has a high-paying job, but typically not a huge money spender. Edit 3, my wife came back home and we talked a little. She says she's willing to forgive me as I have admitted and apologized for messing this up. To make it up to her, I will buy her 2 best friends tickets to the Maldives. This is my wife's #1 bucket list place to go, and I talked to the kids about treating their mother with respect and told them that I would try to set a better example for them. The kids listened closely, and my 14-year-old agreed that he should have been more considerate. The younger ones are currently making cards for their mom about how much they love her, and the older one has already promised to make a special breakfast for her. All right. Well, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Jerk. Although I think this is indicative of a bigger problem here, especially with the updates, that he and the kids generally have no respect or compassion for his wife.
That's what it kind of sounds like. I could have understood it if this was, it's like, there are people who have different comfort levels, and for instance, like, if you wanted to go do something big and special and it happened to fall on my birthday, it wouldn't matter to me, right?
Right, whereas if you wanted to go do something big and special on my birthday, I would be very sad and be like, but Brian, it's my birthday.
But Amber, you don't understand. It's a Superb Owl.
If the Superb Owl happens to fall at the end of May, then I'll be a little surprised.
Yeah. So, I think that this is really depending on the individuals and how they feel about this. She was clearly not okay with this.
Right. Well, and on top of it, she had planned a birthday day that did not involve the kids, and he just like, oh, well, I have plans now, so you get to take care of them.
Yeah, well, he brushed off her plans in order he superseded her plans for his plans, right? And, like, I think that was really the crummy thing to do here, because she clearly had things that she wanted to do with the day, and she didn't really want to spend time taking care of the kids. He went out and had a great time and a relaxing time, and she got, saddled with apparently disrespectful little brats.
Right. It sounds like the kids, if they can't even have a babysitter, they are not very good kids to be around. So
yeah, if they can't even be babysat, and like, $10 says like the oldest was like, oh no, I don't want to deal with this. The oldest was like, no, I don't want to deal with these
I mean,
monsters.
$200 is a lot of money for a 14-year-old, and he's
Yeah,
like, no,
no,
that
no.
gives you an indication of how well his siblings are behaved.
Come on, son. Just take care of them for a day. $200? No, I don't want to do this. No. Mom can take care of it. That I think does pretty well. I think that gives us paints a pretty good picture about like what's going on here.
Our next story is, am I the jerk for purposely changing the picture submitted to my dad's church to include me? I'm a 23-year-old female, and I was born when my dad and mom were in their early/mid 20s. At that time, my dad was a wild partier that made a ton of bad decisions. So after a few casual hookups, there I was. Mom and dad weren't exactly close, so I ended up doing most of the year with her and summers with him. Around the time I was probably 4 or 5 years old, Dad found religion and went back to his Baptist roots, which was great for him. Pretty soon after, he met a woman and had my 2 brothers. He also became a preacher and runs his own church, which has become pretty big and popular in this area of our rural southern state. So they started this thing a couple of years ago where every few months another good Christian family would be highlighted and get their picture put up on the wall with everyone's names, ages, and little family facts. It was a pretty cute practice, I thought. Well, everyone picked my dad this time around at a family dinner. He told us about it and asked which picture we should use. I chimed in and said that we had a great one of all of us when we went hiking and took a selfie on the trail. It looked good and we were all grinning. Dad pulled me aside after and explained that they were going to have to use a picture without me in it. He reminded me that I was born out of wedlock, which is totally Opie's choice right there, and that his church was very judgmental and religious, so I couldn't be in the picture. Dad also made a point to say that I was a reminder of his wild days and he doesn't want that bad light on his good name since he's moved on into a Christ-following man. I tried to argue that I was a part of the family either way and that I deserved to be highlighted, but he told me absolutely not. So when he asked little brother to send in the picture to the woman making the board, I asked him to submit the wrong one picture. My brother sent in one where we were all together at the beach with my dad's arm around my shoulders. I was undeniably in the picture. I don't go to the church because I work weekends, but my brother said that some of the congregants asked about who I was in the photo, and my dad had to explain the situation afterwards when my brother spoke up and said that I was his sister. That was a week ago. Dad called me the next day, furious and screaming.
Good Christian example right there.
He said he knew what I did and said it was selfish of me to destroy his reputation like that.
Destroy?
Yeah, when I didn't even go to his church and they didn't need to know who I was. I told him that I was part of the family either way, and even if I didn't attend to church, they should know I'm his daughter like they know my little brother who doesn't go. He told me off for bringing up his past mistakes and made me feel really horrible. Apparently some of his church members were gossiping about him and me, and it was causing issues at the church. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Am I the jerk?
Oh my goodness. I think I have a headache.
Yeah. Opie, you're 100% not the jerk here, I'm going to say.
Imagine being blamed for your existence.
I know. He's like, well, because of the circumstances of your conception, which you had no control over, you have to be treated as like a second-class citizen and no one should know about you.
Well, he's like, I'm going to discard my past and throw it and try to sweep all the dirty details of it under the rug. You know, there could have been a learning moment here.
Exactly.
And like some kind of, I made some mistakes in my past, but I, love my daughter and I, think that she's an important part of my life. And I think she made me who I am to this day type of thing.
Right. I mean, I don't think that having kids out of wedlock is like a bad thing, but if that's your religious beliefs, there are ways to, like, lots of people make mistakes in their life, and it's a lot more powerful for someone to be like, well, I did these things in my past and they don't align with who I am today, but I'm still trying to make amends for what I've done, and I may regret the circumstances of my daughter's conception, but I love her, and she's an important part of my family.
Yeah. Well, and then also, like, the thing is that he does act like this is something that she could control, for one. He's like,
right.
Oh, well, this is something that you could control. But also, like, the church, if it's this gossipy, like, isn't it in the Bible that you're not supposed to gossip? Funny how that works sometimes.
Well, and, like, why would you build a church that was so, like narrow-minded that they can't accept your family and you have to hide a piece of your family under the rug?
It's like It just is so infuriating to see, like, if this is, this isn't a good Christian example. This isn't like, if he had, it sounds like he's just been kind of bearing his past for a long time and probably
Right.
like inflating his, like,
Good Christian
yeah, his,
likeness, like I never do anything wrong. I am just like such a good person.
yeah, because if he was actually like straightforward with his past, then I don't see why this would be a problem.
It wouldn't be, but he's swept it under the rug for so long that it became a big deal.
Yeah, and that's what I think this boils down to is like he hid a piece of his past and he hid it from his congregants because like it sounds like he's the one who's in charge of the church, right?
Yes, yeah.
So if he, it's important for. Yeah, I'm just shaking my head here. I think it was important for the congregants to know, like maybe not on day one for him to come out and be like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. By the way, I had a kid out of wedlock at one point in time in my life, right? But if someone asks him about his family and stuff like that, to be honest and straightforward and not to be deceptive about it.
Yeah.
All right, folks, it's tea time. Yesterday, I forgot in the video to actually mention what my tea was. It was mint yesterday. And today you can guess what kind of tea I have. So I'll let you guess again between mint and licorice spice.
Brian had an incident with his tea today.
Yeah, I had an incident with my tea. So I put the tea down on my desk here. I was like getting ready to like walk away because I'm setting up this whole thing, and then the cord, whatever the string
The
is,
tea bag
the
string.
tea bag string gets wrapped around my finger somehow, and then like flops down on the ground. It's like less like, whoop. And I just stayed there for a second, and be like, why? Why did this happen? Why is my tea bag so attached to me that it couldn't let me go? And I was hissing.
Yeah, so like I walk into the bedroom and I just hear like this hissing sound. I'm like looking around trying to see what's going on, and Brian's just standing there hissing.
It made me short circuit. So and also here's my Wordle. As you can see, I did it in 4 out of 6. This one I think I got extraordinarily lucky on. I mean, I picked a good starting word and a good second word, and it kind of really helped me out. Otherwise, I think I would have been like stuck forever on it. Because I mean, I got 3 of the 5 letters picked out the second time around.
Yeah, it took me 5 times, but like I think it was the first 3 words I did. Like I had one letter, and I still had one letter, and so I was basically like eliminating the entire alphabet for a while, and yeah.
Oh, and before I forget, now that you've had time to guess my tea, it was mint today. All right, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for refusing to split the daycare cost with my boyfriend? Both my boyfriend, a 30-year-old male, and I, a 25-year-old female, work IT. He works at what used to be a startup that went public a couple years ago, and he ended up receiving a huge 7-figure payout. He has by now invested most of the money and has decided to quit his job and live off the dividend income, for a while at least, if not permanently. We recently had a son, and I'm currently on maternity leave and intend to go back to work after it. We had initially planned to send our son to daycare, but after hearing about my boyfriend's plans, I suggested that we could save money and not do so since my boyfriend is going to stay at home anyways. My boyfriend refused, saying that he intends to relax and have fun now that he no longer needs to work, instead of being stuck with children most of the day. But the thing is this, we live in a high cost of living area where a good daycare for infants can easily cost $30,000 to $40,000 annually. Wow. Unlike him, I don't have such a huge nest egg, and $15,000 to $1,000 in annual savings would go a lot further for me. I explained the same to him and said that if we are still sending our son to daycare, then he should fit the entire bill himself. He refused again, saying that we had agreed to split our finances equally, which is true, and said that I was going to go against my word by not being willing to contribute to the daycare costs. However, I believe my reasons for doing so are justified, as explained before. We ended up in an argument over the same. So, am I the jerk?
I'm gonna say not the jerk. So I am a huge believer in each contributes to the household in accordance of their means. And it's one thing, like, when they're both in IT jobs and making about the same money to say, yeah, we're going to split everything 50-50.
Yeah.
But if someone suddenly has a big influx of money, it may be time to reevaluate those parameters.
Yeah, I think that there was certainly a time and place to reevaluate what the expectation would be going forward. It sounds like he just wants to play. And like this
Yeah.
is grossly unfair in a lot of ways to OP.
Yeah, well, I wonder what he's contributing to this relationship other than his share of the bills. Like, if he's not going to be working and
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to take care of the kid and then doesn't want to pay more than his, 50-50 split of things, even though he has way more money, like, what is he actually doing?
Yeah, the thing is like I would have to know what he does in the household. Like maybe he does pull his weight on the chores and whatnot, but I do think like asking OP to foot the bill for this, 15 to $20,000, additional cost on her salary is a little unfair.
Right, like when you've got millions of dollars you're playing with and your partner is, I'm assuming, making like maybe six figures,
Yeah.
it was not fair to ask them to contribute the same amount as you would.
Yeah, and maybe his dividends aren't paying quite as much as what he was making in the job, but this is still, he still has a lot of free time, and if he
Right.
wants to, you know, I just think that this is not an unreasonable expectation to ask him to, do something with that money if it's going to benefit both of them.
Our last story is, would I be the jerk if I announced my pregnancy? A month ago, my mom, who's 37, found out she is pregnant with her 10th child.
10.
She announced it toward the end of January, and everyone has been happy for her since she was told she couldn't have any more kids because it was a health risk for her. She takes every opportunity to let everyone know she is pregnant. Like at my dad's retirement, when people were congratulating my dad for retiring from the military, she would change the subject to her having a baby. It could hold fast, we're happy for her, but she's taking it too far. On the 13th of February, my husband, who's 21, and I, who's also 21, found out that we are expecting our second child as well. This little one was a big surprise because we were told that I wasn't going to be able to get pregnant again due to complications from our daughter. We haven't announced it to everyone, just really close family members like my parents and my in laws. When we told my mother, she threw a fit. She began accusing us of trying to take the attention off of her and
Oh
her
no.
little miracle, telling us that we got pregnant just to spite her and that we shouldn't say anything about us being pregnant to anyone until her baby is born, which is a month before we're due. She also started going on about if anything happens to her baby, it's our fault because we're causing stress for her and that this pregnancy is hard already and we made it worse. My dad and my mom's family have been begging us not to say anything about our pregnancy so that my mom doesn't stress. I don't want to stress my mom out and have harm come to her baby, but at the same time, I feel like I should also be allowed to celebrate and share my pregnancy as we thought we couldn't have any more children. Would I be the jerk if I announced our little tater tot coming anyways?
Imagine being so like desiring the being in like the center of attention that you can't even allow this a little bit of space for your daughter who also had a miracle pregnancy.
Right. Like, I mean, I think Opie is 100% not the jerk here. Like, you can't control whether or not other people get pregnant. Like,
Yeah.
this whole wanting to monopolize the entire 9 months and make everything about her, like, it just says the mom's pretty self centered.
And I mean like I can understand like if she's excited and she wants to have more kids, certainly, but I mean she's done this 10 times at this point in time, right?
Right.
Or 9 other times at this point. And I think that this is again like one of those things where she should be excited for her daughter
Right.
who is having a kid. And like how old was she when her she's 21, so 37 minus 21 is
16.
16. She has been doing I guess the thing is this is pretty much what she's known her entire life, right? And so I can understand like why it would feel like maybe potentially intimidating if this has been her entire life and that this is the one thing that she's known, but that doesn't necessarily excuse like her behavior on the other hand, right?
Right. Well, and as a parent, you would hope that she would be out of the habit of having temper tantrums when other people do things. Like, I mean, it's not like her daughter getting pregnant, even like is like gonna steal everything from her, and like to
Mm-hmm.
expect her to like not announce it, not have a baby shower, just pretend like nothing is happening for the
Yeah.
first 8 months of her pregnancy. Like, it's just such an unreasonable expectation.
Yeah. I think it's extraordinarily unreasonable, and I think that there's plenty of happiness to go around for everyone in this situation. She doesn't have to have exclusive limelight here.
And they could even share in this stuff together
Yeah.
if that was something they were both amenable to. Like, you don't have to be the only one who's the center of attention.
Yeah.
You know?
So I don't think that OP's the jerk in the least. I think that this is an unfortunate situation, and OP is kind of getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah, well, I think the worst part is how she's also bullying OP. Like, if you say anything, then you're going to be the cause of my pregnancy going wrong.
Well, yeah, and that's actually really bad because, like, if something does go wrong, whether, the stress of the situation or not has anything to do with it, OP's going to feel bad about this.
Right, and the mom is probably going to blame OP for it. She'll be like, see, if you just didn't do this, that's the reason things went wrong, and, like, this is all your fault. And so saddling your child with that kind of guilt, like, sometimes, unfortunately, things do go wrong, you know, and you can't pin that on someone else.
No.
Especially when they're just having a kid of their own. Like, it's not like she's actively like, it would be one thing if OP was like actively stressing her.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it would be one thing if OP was like going around being a menace and being like
sneaking up on her all the time and like pretending to murder her with
whispering mean things in her ear and being passive aggressive and all kinds of things like that, and like causing huge amounts of stress. Yeah, I mean, maybe then you could blame OP for this, but OP just literally got pregnant.
Right. Other people living their lives is not like, if that's stressing you out too much, then like maybe you're the one who needs to isolate yourself from everyone else.
Yeah, maybe she needs to see a therapist.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving us a like, and if you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
What did you do today, Amber?
I worked on my story, and I listened to more of Interview with the Vampire.
Poor Amber. She is not enjoying this book in the least, and I hear about it a lot.
You do hear about it a lot. I really ended up really liking the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I thought I didn't like it at first, and I was complaining to Brian, but then that one turned around. But Interview with a Vampire, there's just too much existential angst. And also, like, how he's like, I am a horrible, evil being. But also, I'm just going to keep doing the same thing because what else do I do? It's like, dude, just do something if you think you're evil.
Yeah, so Amber is having a bad time of this. It's as Mary said, very draining.
But I've got a light book next, so the Fear Street book, wrong number. I'm trying to read the Fear Street books in order. I've read the first 4, and so now I'm moving on to number 5. So that should be a little better.
Oh, happy Friday, Junior.
Yes, happy Friday, Junior.
I almost forgot.
I completely forgot.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!